Dalia and Mr. President, for sharing some insight. My question was, Mr. President, you mentioned that Rabin knew that he is risking his life. Is this something that he expressed vocally, and what was your, what did you say, how did you respond, and did you have moments when you were with yourself in the room thinking maybe it's pushing too much, maybe the milestone needs to be just extend or be on hold?
You mean, did he talk to me about it?
Yes, did he mention that?
Well, first of all, no, we didn't. I think he wanted President Bush to get reelected. I think he was probably disappointed I won. But somehow we clicked. I mean, he'd even make fun of Hillary because she wouldn't let him smoke inside the White House. She made him go out to the Truman balcony to smoke. And I don't know what, but after we signed the Oslo Accord in September, you saw that at the beginning of the movie. So I asked him to come back and have lunch with me in the Oval Office, and you know, the others had been involved in doing the details, obviously at Oslo. But I said, why'd you do this, really? I said, you know, I think it's the right thing to do, but why'd you do it? And he said, when we had the Intifada, and then I saw what missiles were capable of, I realized that we could rot from without or within if we tried to continue to pretend that we're a democracy occupying a lot of the West Bank, so we're soon going to be a minority in our own country, and if we don't let these people vote, and if we do, we won't be a Jewish state. And I also saw that security for Israel has to involve more than barriers, even though the barriers work pretty well against terrorist invasions, but they're not a protection from missiles. So I'm very proud that the Iron Dome was developed and given and everything. But I mean, he said, I just saw that we had to try to work this out. And then he said something really interesting, and we were just alone. I mean, he wasn't making headlines, and he knew darn well I wasn't going to say anything to the press about what he said. And he said, you know, I spent a lot of time in the last 30 years putting young Israelis in body bags. And I've left a lot of young Palestinians to be buried. And he said, you know, their children deserve a future too. And our children deserve better than this. And I just thought, you know, if I was in a position to do it, if I was in a position to do it, I should do it. He basically said in an American dialect that he had enough street cred to get the job done, and I think he did. You know, and he wanted to do it. He saw that it had to be done. And in terms of the danger to his own life, we didn't have to talk about that. He knew that once I got into this, my successor, George W. Bush, made fun of me for knowing the map of old Jerusalem better than any of the people that were negotiating the deal. I knew what was going on. I got very detailed reports several times a week. It was obvious to anybody that he was in danger from radicals. And the problem is, if you live in a culture which you think doesn't foment that anymore, you have the kind of mistakes like that guy made in the parking lot. The movie, you had the courage, and I mean, it's painful after all this time, and it was hard for her and me to watch, so I know how awful it was for Dalia to watch, but the guy screwed up, and he was told to go check him out. He should have felt him down and patted him down and found the gun. But that's the kind of thing that happens. You know, if you live in a free society, I remember John Kennedy said early in his presidency that anyone who really wanted to kill the president could, if you were willing to die yourself. But he knew exactly what kind of risks he was under.
Yeah, I just want to add two things that happened a few weeks before. He was attacked in Wingate, which is a sports center in Israel, attacked by a religious person, and who was stopped. So he already knew that there are physical attacks on him. That guy did not have a gun, but physically to attack the prime minister was already a sign. And a few days before the assassination, he was asked, primetime radio was asked if he's afraid for his life. He knew because there was that attack, so he knew, and he totally dismissed that, meaning he was not willing to let that affect any of his decisions or actions. I mean, wear a protected vest. He was really sort of set that, almost like saying, if a Jew will kill me for that, in a way, I'm just saying that metaphorically, in a world like that, I don't want to live. That's the kind of feeling that it's just too much. He didn't believe that the country would go that far. But he saw it, and of course the incitement all over the place. I mean, death to Rabin everywhere, in front of his house, in front of his home, both in Jerusalem, where the prime minister lives, and also at home in Tel Aviv, in Ramat Aviv. Very, very extreme. You saw the incitement. So he knew, but as a great leader, as a visionary, he decided that will not affect his decisions and action and pursue for peace. Last question?
Thank you. Thank you for this powerful movie, and thank you, Dalia, for keeping the hope, for saying it like that. Mr. President, you mentioned that you think we need very specific people in the term of history to be able, very strong leaders, to be able to do such steps. We are at the time that we are. What do you think is possible?
Well, I think it would help if Israel could decide who's going to run the government.
In the third election,
We're working on it.
But Trump and Bibi to leave office.
First of all,
And go to jail.
I was involved in this peace process for 8 years. And people say, oh, we didn't get anything done. Well, yes, we did. We didn't finish. But when America stopped trying in the next 4 years after I left office, 3 times as many Palestinians and Israelis were killed from political violence, and that 4 years is in the 8 years. Now, it's not like that now because for other reasons, Israel's much stronger and the Palestinians are much, much weaker and have far fewer sponsors. But I think that the larger point is still true. America can propose peace plans as one's been proposed. We can help raise money for it. And we can and should try to minimize the security risks to both parties if they make the deal. And in the case of the Palestinians, if there were a Palestinian state, maximize the economic opportunities as well. But no third party makes the peace. Like,
This was my father's concept, that the dialogue the negotiations should be bilateral. America was giving us the meeting point. President Clinton always used to say, I give you the place to meet, but it's on you to choose the path and agree upon the parts of the agreement. And my father always stick to it. And if I would like to add about him being concerned, I never heard him really being afraid that he will be killed by a Jew. He was a brave person. He was doing everything that he believed in with all power forward. He was committed to this mission. He thought that we are strong enough to challenge the terror, to challenge the antagonism from Palestinian sides and from inside. We can cope with it and we can overcome it. But unfortunately, the Oslo was in its beginning, and the Palestinian leader, Yasser Arafat, to my opinion, did not bring the good, because he was supposed to control Hamas, and he didn't. And this caused the rising of more and more anti to the process.
It
But-
was the worst political mistake anyone has made in my lifetime. Anywhere, on any continent, under any circumstances. I mean, imagine what we would have if we were here watching this film on the 20th anniversary of a Palestinian state that had 97% of the West Bank, compensating land and somewhere else in Israel, a flourishing economy, a cooperative, that it would be a whole different world. And so I'm with you on that. But I think in general, the most important thing America can do is to encourage peace, minimize the risk, and maximize the benefits if they do it. Now, it's good to have experts who know and work and persuade and argue and do, and I did all that stuff, but it's just, you really want, when you've got people who want it, like the Irish wanted it, the Colombians were willing to work with us to reclaim their country. I could give you, the Bosnians even wanted it. They couldn't get what they need, and the flaws that we see in Bosnia today were perfectly apparent when we signed the Dayton Peace Accords, but it was all we could get, and they told us it was all we could get. So we did it, and it was a lot better than what was going on beforehand. So that's all. I agree with you, but I still think your father would have talked Arafat into doing it.
Exactly. So that's why I want
Just
to
because he had this unusual hold on him. I mean, it was almost frightening. I ragged him once. I said, you sure you don't have if you don't occupy Arafat's brain? I mean, Arafat held him in awe in a totally positive way. And I think it would have made it harder for him to wiggle out when all the doubters came in at the end.
And at the end of the day, I mean, he was assassinated. We have to remember that. Otherwise, he would have continued with all the hardships. And as you said, to convince Arafat eventually to, follow through. So I think that killed the peace process. It's the assassination.